There's next to one. The tree was this big one. They were filming. They were talking about it.
Okay, we're on YouTube live.
We went to British Columbia. There were 6 of us. We held hands. In fact, we didn't hold hands. We just touched fingers. We couldn't. At least 400 feet high. You never see a tree like that. I didn't see it.
They plugged in a TV.
If I didn't see it myself, I would never believe it. I was telling my dad, I said, go see it. Don't believe it. I said, go see it.
Yeah.
He said, I'll believe it because that's what they call the Capilano Bridge. You ever hear of it? The Capilano Bridge. It's a cable
Capilanos.
bridge. It's just a walk bridge for pedestrians. If you got the nerve to walk, swinging. And that tree, it's still sticking about 60 feet over. And it says on there, the top of the tree is 450 feet. If you look down there, you just see little dots. There's houses down there.
It's like to the northeast of San Francisco, about 60 miles. Giant redwoods and sequoias. Oh. I was standing on the bottom trying to look up to see the top. Couldn't see the top. Couldn't see it. What then I moved back. There's another big giant tree. And I still couldn't see it. It said it was over 360 or something like that too. Then they got that one, the big Jake. You drive the car, be through it.
These things, you don't really consider them part of the 8th wonder of the world. They don't have that in Europe. They got some fucking shitty brick stone building. Yeah, it's like a Pope less than it's the Heritage Seven. Nobody planted that. These trees, no man planted.
No.
But if they ever brought it to the forefront, then all the religious people would have to question. Look, we got that. It was there before there was even religion.
Yeah. After they nothing. And the thing is big. And a Frenchman hits it. You know what he does it. A Frenchman.
It shared you?
Yeah. Oh. Okay, if you're on YouTube, we're live on YouTube. We're just getting ready for the Kanienkeha Class. Again, if you're on YouTube with us, you won't be able to see the text. We're sharing a room on the Facebook page where you will be able to see the text. What's written, what we're going over. So, and if there is anybody has any comments pertaining to the class, you can put your comments there, and we'll adjust those things in the join the class. So it'll be just a moment. Are we ready? Everything is shared? Okay. Screw opening.
The last law. So I had to get a new something. Being cool. It's severe, but I gotta change. I was gonna do it.
Do it in the class now. We'll do it right now.
Really cool.
Okay, so are we ready?
I knew the word, but you knew you had it, right?
No.
Hey, how come is there so far back that way? Must be,
I didn't know you were there.
get a little closer.
Anyway, I says, something's not right. It stays with me. Stays with me. I put that I got up and put it in the corner. It's not the right word, but it's not how to finish it. Right there. You got silver. And then I checked it, and that's what it was.
Translation.
And then we have done this.
Edificio está sopra la noche per una discrepancita, la che tenia mutare, non si cambia vista, la che non si sa stanza andare da nessuno, non da fare da nuovo, non si è mutare la nuova. E ci guardato da nuovo per la chiesa, ma non è che sta sentendo per la mensaggi da nuovo che sta nel domino. E ci guardato da nuovo da questa viscera, quindi è una carabero, a luego un passo da nuovo quasi. Ternyata mengetahui dan registrua yang tiada yang kadang orang register di Norway, Kawatsi dan Norway, Texas dengan dalam mencari. Itu orang tu jatuh sesuatu dengan orang, orang Dian media, kami kunci kami bayar doang. Yang rasa ragu dan mungkin mungkin Johan. Yang kita kan kadang orang register di Texas dengan dunia dan bayar doang, register di dunia dan Australia. Las estancias la planetaria o el chisra, la misma razón de la Jackson, el sábado, pero no me parece muy bueno.
Yeah. Okay, so for those who maybe this might be the first time you're joining us, we're doing live Zoom. We're doing a Facebook, not a Facebook live, YouTube live. On the YouTube, you won't be able to see the written text of what we're reading from. But if you go to the Facebook page, we're live broadcasting the Zoom live on Facebook. There you'll be able to see the written text. So just get right into it now. What wampum are we into now?
Well, we're going to start with 100, but we have to make the adjustment for the green one of the last wampum, because it's still not repeated on this wampum as well.
Yeah, in wampum, what was it, 89?
99.
99. There's a correction. Wayagero brought forward a correction that needs to be done, so we'll just let him explain what the correction is.
Wait a second, this oh, we cannot hear anything. You have to unmute your computer.
Oh. Like you've done the whole opening and nobody was able to hear it.
The word is Barcelona.
What does that mean?
Like I always say, if somebody's got a word out there that's Kanienkeha, let us know. Man. It will be appreciated.
That's only something.
Yeah.
Maple candy. Okay, 100. When the Thanksgiving for the green corn comes, the special managers, both the men and the women, shall give it careful attention and do their duties properly. When the ripe corn Thanksgiving is celebrated, the chiefs of the nation must give it the same attention. As they give to the midwinter Thanksgiving. Is that it? Is the end of it? Oh, that's really short. Okay, just one more time then. When the Thanksgiving for the green corn comes. The special managers, both the men and the women, shall give it careful attention and do their duties properly. When the ripe corn Thanksgiving is celebrated, the chiefs of the nation must give it the same attention. As they give to the midwinter Thanksgiving. Just to expand on it a bit, to be more cognizant here of why it speaks only about the ceremonies pertaining to honesty, is that talking about Great Law of Peace, and then Great Law of Peace identifies that there is special attention to be shared, to be shown at the green corn, the ripe corn, and it identifies that these particular ceremonies are to be given the same attention as the midwinter. The midwinter is identified that there is supposed to be, that the chiefs and clan mothers are supposed to call council and make the people aware when the midwinter is approaching. You're supposed to counsel on the ceremony, which shows the importance of that particular thing. But what's really important to take note of here is that the Great Law of Peace is centered around honesty. It's centered around corn. Without corn, the Great Law of Peace, the Longhouse, would not be in existence. So there is special considerations in the law that, like such as this, that is giving reference to the corn. Because when you consider, it's already mentioned once in the further on, I don't know which one, but very close to near the beginning, where it talks about the ceremonies, and it says that the chiefs and clan mothers are to do this at the midwinter, and all other ceremonies are to be shown the same importance. So then, why is it mentioned here again, but not just one of them? It mentions the green corn, which is when the hair is coming out, and you see it's like that very light colored green, almost like incandescent, iridescent, whatever, like it looks glowing. And then the ripe corn. The ripe corn is when different time of the season. So it's identifying specific references to the corn at different times of its life. So it's just to emphasize and everyone to be cognizant of that great law of peace is not possible without honesty. If not for the journey of the corn, the great law of peace would not be here today. We would not be sitting here and talking about it. So, how it continues or manages to stay alive over centuries is because of these things are specifically mentioned. It's like it's like hidden, almost like a hidden message that's passed on from generation to generation. That somebody will always discover that when times get lax and people forget about the corn, about the planting, about the ripe, the green and the ripe, that the law is there to constantly keep reminding. There will always be a new person, a young person, that will be awakened to that. Anyways, so that's the reason why this one particular wampum exists, because there's no other purpose to this wampum except to identify about the, the importance of ceremony at these different stages of the corn's life. Again, green, ripe, but also, you go right to the beginning of it, the seed and medicine planting. So the different stages of the corn is important. It's crucial for people to have their interaction with the corn all the way through its life, the same way that you are to have interaction with your children all the way through their life. If not, part of their life will be missing to you. You won't have knowledge of it, and that will be like an incomplete connection or relation that the person has. So this part of the law is very important to instilling in the minds of the people the spiritual, that law has a spiritual element to it, that you cannot have a law that governs or manages people without a spiritual element. If you do have law without the spiritual element, then it is just somebody's opinion, like a law that they came up with. So, anyways. Okay, so we're just going to do it in Kanienkeha.
This morning, before I went to see my son, I brought him some moose meat, a big bag of moose meat. And, I was hot outside, I was talking to the stars, everybody was there. So she never used to travel at that time. So I asked for a light. So I asked them that. It's still dark though. And when I got on the Highway 10 in the Eastern Township. I see the lights. It's all fields. It's only when I got close, made the turn. And, it was 5:30. These farmers, they had the lights on and they harvesting the corn. And when I was coming home, it was 2:30 on the way back here. It's still working. It must be working sick. Because that CN strike last week, we held back up to the corner. They want to get it out before it starts to snow or they'll lose all that. I guess I got to work on it. Anyway, it's say that we. Then they get here and they're talking about corn. So after a while, they didn't live with that. No, they didn't want this.
No, they don't get it. No, they don't wear it. Ocaserota. No way.
When they leave way, you. Oh, and then they want the job.
No, they want the job.
Pensaron que nunca,
Pensaron que nunca. Tano la nube.
Here, in the special language, is this regular place for men only?
put an eye there. Nobody want the job.
Yonaderi.
Unto Dewayondo,
Unto Dewayondo,
Tinahawe,
Tinahawe,
Danu,
Dano,
unto Dewayondo,
unto Dewayondo,
Lunadiri Wayondo,
Lonaderi Wayani,
Nono, Yudinito,
Nona Yodanizo,
Honeste,
Honeste,
Yudinurados,
Tayondanu Veratus,
Rodrigo Pejado,
Waderiwa Pejado,
Rodianerso,
Rodianerso,
Yuju. Oh, Yuju Hunzayondo,
Yujahun Zayando,
Honiji,
Tonizi,
Mahadidi Washi,
Tam Haderi Wasne,
Jiviti,
Tinizi,
Tukawas,
Tutkawas,
Sadio Siliha,
Sodeo Seriho,
Yudinurados.
Tayondanu Veratus.
Here it will be the same thing when we're saying the chiefs of the nation, is it both female and male? And for this one, the chiefs of the nation is given the same attention. So here it's only male, but it will be both.
The Sodeo Seriho. That's the midwinter, right? What is that? Can you break down that word?
So the place also is the year. Home, real home is half of it. Of the year.
Half of the year.
Nono,
Nona,
Yudinurados,
Tayondanu Veratus,
Basiroda,
Ogasaroda,
Home.
Amowe,
Lunadiri Pejado,
Yonaderiwa Tajado,
Bizarro,
Pizarro,
Nuba,
Ganungwe,
Nuba,
Dano Ranungwe,
Unto Dewayon,
Anton Dewayondo,
Dinamo,
Tinahawe,
Danu,
Dano,
Unto Dewayondo,
Anton Dewayondo,
Lunadiri Wayon,
Lonaderi Wayani,
Nona,
Nona,
Yudinisu,
Yodinizo,
Honeste,
Honeste,
Yudinurados,
Tayondanu Veratus,
Rodrigo Pejado,
Waderiwa Tejado,
Yudianerso,
Yodianerso,
Yuji Huzayondo,
Yujahun Zayando,
Honiji,
Tonizi,
Mahadiri Washi,
Tam Haderi Wasne,
Trinity,
Tinizi,
Tukawas,
Tutkawas,
Sadio Siliha,
Sodeo Seriho,
Yudinurados.
Tayondanu Veratus. I have a question. Um, okay. Yun Jun Zayando. Yun Jun Zayando.
Yeah, Yuji Huzayondo.
What is that?
That's the old. See, before there never would have existed to say was my land. Never. It's a European concept to own land. Yuju Hunzayondo means the land belongs to all of us.
Okay, where does that fit into the chiefs of the nation?
Well, that's it. The chiefs are again a nation to which I own you. That is the nation. They are the nation. The land is the nation is the land. Once you've accepted, it's only land when there's no nation. When it's a nation, it belongs to a people, and only it can only belong to the people of the people under the Danilas that are over. Because they're the only ones that follow that law. The other nations until the Island, I don't know how they own their land, how they talk, will be living like us. Obviously not, because they didn't follow the law.
Okay, if we're gonna make the English and the Mohawk connect, we're gonna have to do some adjustments there.
Names.
Chiefs of the nation. The nation is
the
people on
owners
the
of the nation. Yeah, owners of the nation. The chiefs and owners of the nations. Mhm.
Okay, just put after nation, push a slash land. Chiefs of the nation slash land. And then we'll have to put a little English explanation under Yun Tsayonga.
All lands. And the territories. I like territories. All lands. That's what it is.
Okay. Okay. The people and the land. Uh, make up the nation. People and the land make up the nation.
You could put the Yehud's on it, that's female connected to the land. Although you're putting in English.
It's because of the word that you got there. Yun Tsayonga.
Yeah.
So we gotta adjust to that word.
How much non-gender favor? It isn't non-gender. It's favor to the women, but we're with them, so we're included.
Okay, put land and people together constitute nation. Right under where it says our territories. Well, where it says our territories. No, put a dash. People and the land constitute nation. That's a very important concept there. Very important thing to understand that.
People's ties to them. Yes, people's ties to them.
Then they make people understand as to why you're creating refugees all around the world, separating people from the land. When that happens, when you move people around from territory to territory, well, then the people don't have no root. They don't have no no identity because the land is what gives identity. Anyways, it's just to show why that you have so many refugees in the world today, so that you have basically a bunch of people who cannot speak with certainty on any given issue because they're not rooted in solid connection to the
Well,
land.
but the laws will be questioned on. They do question on lands that they don't belong on. So you really like almost you're grateful to be living somewhere, but these are the people that displaced you.
Yeah. Okay. Did we do it twice?
Yes. So no need to listen. No,
No.
dei denumerados,
Deum denumerados,
abbasteroda,
abbasteroda,
nuove. Viene dedicato,
Iona dere wajato,
Zaro,
Tezzaro,
comunque,
Canungue,
comunque.
Dano Ranungue,
Anche devo io,
Antu de Wayando,
che io nuove.
Zinya Hawe, Dano,
Anche devo io,
Antu de Wayando,
viene dedicato.
Dona deri Wayani,
No, io benissimo.
Nona Yodanism,
Ministro,
Honeste,
dei denumerados,
Deum denumerados,
devi affacciare.
Waderi Watejata,
Di DNS,
Yodi Anerso,
Lucio Huzzaiolo,
Yujo Hujayanto,
Polizzi,
Polisi,
Mahadi di Waschi,
Hadri Wasne,
Zinici,
Zinizi,
Tutkaus,
Tutgaos,
Sabio Serio,
Sabe Yoserino,
Io Denumerados.
Deum denumerados. Tuntgawis.
Tutkaus,
Tuntgawis. The other
they get
There's-
Tutkaus.
Tuntgawis. What is that?
Tutkaus she gives to me.
She gives, okay. Alright. Wait. Okay, then shouldn't that be female? Tuntgawis? Tuntgawis?
Tutkaus, it's a
Because it talks about the chiefs must show it the same attention as they give to the midwinter.
I remember the word because country always, like she used it.
And I just got lazy. Okay, so we did that twice. So now we go to the next one. Next one is ready.
This is officially Bill 101. So all you Quebecers listening, the changement de loi sans you.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's go to the beginning. Okay, Wampum 101. The song used in installing the new chief of the Confederacy.
I don't know what's the ordinat garano. Aze, with the inertia, the Donitano,
Shall be sung by Tadadaho. Okay, let's fix that. Tadadaho. Tadadaho. T-A.
Both? English and
Yeah, it's T-A.
T-A. And then all the rest is what?
Oh no, there's a T there. You're just supposed to have a T now.
T-A-T-A?
Yeah. Tadadaho. With an H?
He's really, what he is other than.
On the doggos, it's Tadadaho they call him.
Do you know somebody?
PHA. That's what they say.
Yeah, T-O. You should have left that there. You're gonna put it back.
T-A. No. T-A. It's the T-A.
No, you should have left that. No, put the O back.
Look at all that.
Okay, I'm just gonna undo everything.
No, just right there. Okay, look.
Not the O, not the T. It's the O.
Yeah, T-A.
T-A.
No, take out the A there. The A after the R. Just the A after the R. Take the A out.
Please A.
Take it out. Tadadaho. You might as well fix the other one too.
And this is exclusively for male, this part?
Which part?
That's what, yeah.
When we are installing a new chip, it's only a male chip?
And the English, it shouldn't be the, it should be a. Oh, excuse me.
You know, that's what they call the docks here. The guy that runs the docks. The docks. In Montreal, the docks.
Yeah. Never heard that. Okay, so what's going on here? Where are we?
Oh,
Okay.
not the remote, but the dog. Don't use it. This is the song shall be sung by the dog. It shall be.
And it shall be okay.
And just so we know, is this part, this whole part is from this is called Nagaba. So what we were just doing is putting this
Hiya, Agua, Wheel. Is that how it goes? Hiya,
Hi.
Agua, Wheel.
Hi.
Hi. That's the hi. Agua, Wheel. Agua, what?
Doesn't it sound like that song?
Say go, Scaway, say go. We go, the rock.
And then that's it, right? We don't really have to do the rest of that. It's really just the top part.
Mm-hmm.
Go to the top. It's really just that. That's it.
It's kind of self-explanatory.
It sounds like it. The song used in installing a new chief of the Confederacy. Song used in installing a new chief of the Confederacy.
I don't know what's the
Shall be sung by Tadadaho, and it shall be. Okay, that's it. So we'll just follow just those 2 lines. Are we going to do another one after this? Or? It's
Corona, what's the?
Karana, what's the?
Corona?
Wadinat Karana. Aze. Aze.
Okay, you know it's going to change. So if you saw any chief symbol,
Well, it could be plural.
okay.
It's a chief or chiefs.
It's,
Well, what's the, okay, wait a minute. What's the odds of that happening? Because that would mean 2 chiefs would have to die at the same time. Well, it could be war. Could be a flood. Could be a Quebec bridge disaster.
That's why I put it plural.
Hey, I think there's a baby here. Oh no, it's Stone and oh, come on.
Yeah.
I thought it was a baby. Quick, close the door.
Big baby.
Hey.
Hey.
Hello. How are you?
Hi.
I don't
Oh, you're cold.
know.
Where were you?
Walking.
Well, walking around.
Okay, we're almost finished this, so
Just to say hi.
Stone and Louise just walked in.
Hey.
Oh, he's there.
Say hey. on there.
Avec le A, France.
Yes.
Okay, are we ready?
Yeah.
Did we do it just once? Before?
I do it once.
We'll do it one more time. Corona, what's the?
Karana, what's the?
The word not Corona.
Wadinat Karana.
Aze, the
Aze Radionerso.
Gahitana.
Pegahunzanira.
Tuhadera
Ahadana Noda.
Noda,
Tadadaho.
and the big
Onoka Nizi. That's it. We're done.
Wow.
We're done.
But I'll explain. I'll try and explain. I'm even trying to explain it to myself. But this is like a condolence song. Huh? It's like
I was telling them before you walked in, I says, this is the real Bill 101. Because it's the 101st law. So I said, well, think of the course, the original Bill 101, the pronouncement now.
Okay, so before we close, I see that John is with us. John Fernandez is with us tonight, right?
Now, he's got a couple of questions that he posed in his chat, and I'm just asking him if he's like himself to say this section. He didn't reply to me. He says, is this supposed to be celebrated in all tribes? First question. And second question, he says, did the Women's Nation vote in the chief position?
Okay, first off on that, there are no tribes. It is nations. All the people here in Turtle Island, regardless of how small of a community they were, all functioned as nations, especially because when we interact with one another, then the affairs are handled on a nation level. So there is no tribes here. Tribes identifies a disorder where there's not the same type of order and organization as nation. So knowing the fact that even the smallest communities were organized and structured to be able to function in relation to other nations as on a nation level. So every nation, everybody here is either a nation or else, if it's a small community, or a part of a nation. And then those parts of the nations has to represent the nation. They have to represent as a nation. So there are no tribes here within Turtle Island. The second thing is that he said about the woman's nation voting to
Voting, the chief decision.
within the Great Law of Peace. There is no voting. Even if you have, when you consider there's 48 chiefs from 5 different nations, and they're all sitting there, and they all got a voice, but there is no voting because voting identifies that they're gonna give their opinion on any given thing. If it's, let's say, this bottle of water, okay, they're gonna have a vote in order to have everybody's opinion. No, we don't do that. What the Great Law of Peace does is it gives you structure, it gives you a constitution in which you know that all your decisions are based upon. So therefore, it takes away, it does away with personal opinion, because personal opinion is not rooted in anything solid. It's basically rooted in whatever the person's opinion is. My opinion is I like this bottle more than this. So we can't go on opinions. If we go on people's opinions, then you have the chaos like what's happening in the States today. You know, just one person's opinion. So what's wrong, or the corruption, like for instance in the States, why you can have one person's opinion misrepresenting hundreds of millions of people, is because there is no constitution. Now you can say, people will think that, hey, come on, there's constitution in the United States. There is no constitution. If there was constitution, then that means that every president would have to base all of their decisions based on that constitution. So that means the constitution takes away, again, takes away our opinions. It's rooted in what is right and basically what is not right. So when it comes down to, like, in a decision in the council about anything, it comes down to it being judged on its correctness, on if it's right or if it's again not right. So so there is no voting. It is consensus. So the purpose of having so many chieftainship titles, and not to forget that when you have 48 male chiefs, then that means there's 48 female chieftainship titles. So there's 96 positions that any given subject has to go through, those 96 positions, which means 96 people with knowledge of law are looking at this thing, and with their knowledge of law, we can only do what law provides for us, or what law allows us to do. So this does away with the concept of voting. And when you understand that the concept of voting causes division within the people, then you can see the necessity to do away with anything that causes division. Now, what really has the people's minds screwed up today is this concept of democracy. People are stuck on a word when people today don't even know what democracy is. People can say, oh, we want democracy, we want democracy. And people think that that is representation. But when we look at democracy, again, we go back to the people that created democracy. Let's look at what democracy is, not what we want to believe it to be. So democracy is slavery. Democracy is rooted in war. Democracy is where women are not even basically recognized as humans, because they're not considered equal with men, because democracy is rooted in religion. So, as religion is, let's say, single-sided, like it doesn't honor the duality of creation. It places the emphasis on the male. So when the emphasis is on the male, even if it's just suggested, then the way that everybody lives from that suggestion is going to be male dominant. And so anyways, the concepts of democracy today really have everybody very screwed up, has everybody having a false perception about the realities of what's going on in the world. So yeah, within the great law of peace, there is no voting. There is only what is in law. And so you have 96 people and the rest of the people who could stand up at any time and say, accordance to law, isn't it supposed to be like this? And then once that is revealed and everybody has no choice but to say yeah or no, once everybody agrees yes, then there is no vote on it. It's just a matter of this is law and this is what people have to do. So the council process is not about getting our opinions. It's about refining the issue until it is acceptable within law, where it suits all parties. So the purpose of law, is very different than what the rest of the world knows today of like what a concept or perception is of government. Government, as you know, in the world today, dysfunctions. It does not function. And it doesn't function because of what it doesn't do. What it doesn't do is recognize the duality of the female and the male, and it does not get consensus. Democracy divides through voting, but law establishes what is right, what is correct, what's acceptable, and therefore law establishes consensus. Okay, I don't know if John, if that answers your 2 points there.
Yes, that's my question. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Now we see that you're here tonight. This will be entirely up to you. We have had a communication with John over the last couple of days over an event, a circumstance that's happening with him. I don't know if you wish to like start to address it here or to familiarize. It's entirely up to you if you wish to.
Sure. So pretty much my daughter is, since she was small, has been able to hear spirits, voices. I'm not sure. It kind of runs in my family, but maybe the voices have been on a me, like me sounding. They don't telling her to hurt herself, telling her that she's no good, telling her.
Oh, we lost your voice, John. You got muted. Okay.
She's very introverted. She's very artistic, but she doesn't know how to deal with this, and she doesn't want to listen to me because I've had issues also with the same thing. So she doesn't see it as a positive, and basically it's I'm concerned. I don't know what to do. I mean, I pray for her. I try to contact her within my spirit and try to guide her or try to go off whatever's hurting her. But
Your sound cut out again.
so that's basically what's going on. She's having, I guess it would be psychological problems, and there's no way to address it without her getting on medication, or she doesn't want to listen to me. She doesn't view my experience as valid, I guess, or she just doesn't know very much. But that's what's happening.
I know that we addressed a little bit of this in the communiques we had back and forth. But first off, we'll say, and of course, this is entirely your within your power, your decision, if you'll even utilize what we're going to say. So what we will say is that the way that things are in the world today, it's making everybody crazy. It's causing psychological, mental issues on everybody. It's creating what in the past would be viewed as mental illness. It looks like mental illness that is being what's coming to the surface on almost everybody in the world. Because when we consider the circumstances in the world, the circumstances are outside of what humans are made for. We should not be experiencing the stuff that we are experiencing in the world today. It's outside of human acceptability. So when we're under such conditions, then this is where it's too much stress, it's too much strain. If we were, like for instance, as iron workers, if there was part of a building that was under too much stress, too much pressure, too much weight on it, what would happen to that part of the building? It would collapse. And so this is when we consider all of the people in society under stress, then we can see that individuals or even huge sectors of society will start to collapse, cave into itself, basically not be able to deal with the circumstances of what we're in today. And so, again, when we consider that this is a multi-generational trauma problem that we're inflicted with today, the problem that we have to deal with today, it was given to us by our parents, by our grandparents, by our great-grandparents. It comes from way down the line. So now today, our children, we're handing off to them something that is completely beyond their comprehension, and where, when you consider it from a position of logic, every young person in this world today would be justified in thinking and saying, like what this Greta Thunberg is saying, "You stole my future." To be mad at the elders of today, saying, "You stole my future. You basically killed me." This is what the young people are confronted with today. So we got to understand that for the first time in the history of humanity, for 75, 80,000, 100,000, who knows how long, a couple of 100,000, a million years, if not longer, first time in all of human history, are humans confronted with our own extinction, and that we being the cause of that extinction. So it means that a lot of people are going to be confronted with a chaos, and it's going to be a chaos that in their own minds they will not be able to sort out. For myself, I would hate to be of the generation today, like to be like of 20 years old, around that age. I would hate to be that age, because I know that my parents, my grandparents, have handed me a mess, have given me a mess that they were too afraid or didn't want to deal with. And so now these young ones today, they got tons and tons of pressure upon them that it's unimaginable. You could say that from the pressure upon them, that just within their own mind, there's diamonds forming, because the pressure is so great. And you know that under pressure, that coal will turn to diamond. So all of this mess, this ugliness, this blackness, this coal that we're given to our children, it's such pressure that in their minds, there's enough pressure for it to turn to diamonds. So with your daughter, given all these things that were said, first thing we would say is, even though it may be too late, do not allow her to go on medication. Because if she was already through her life seeing things exposed, she's got a power, she's exposed to things. If she's already like that, and then she's given a drug, then that's going to alter her power. It's going to stop her power. And if it stops her power, her mind is built, geared towards her power. So if her power stops, then her mind continue functioning that way. It will be like the way that she functions normally will be redundant. Like it won't work now because her power is shut off due to that drug. So the first thing we would say is take her off the medication, but then you're dealing with either the psychologist or psychiatrist that put her on this.
She's not on medication yet. Her mother hasn't taken her yet. So she hasn't taken any medication. So I believe that she needs to become one with what's going on. That's basically what I did. I made friends with what was going on within me, and then I was able to find myself, my center. Mm-hmm. So, but she won't listen to me. It's like to the block. Somehow she just told me like rebel. Not rebelling, but just I'm gonna put it. She don't want to hear nothing from me. It's weird.
But she's only 16, right?
Right.
Yeah. We all know 16 is. I know we guys and girls go through different things, of course, but we all know what it was like when we were 16. And one of the things that we were just talking with the Women's Nation this past weekend is that it was identified every girl or every woman on this planet, they all go through the same things like teenage years. And then by the time they're in their 30s, they look back and they'll say, oh, I wish I didn't do that. Or I wish somebody would have not let me do that, or somebody would have corrected me. So what everybody in the Women's Nation had identified, or what was become aware, is that within the Longhouse, the structure is so that the wisdom of elders are there constantly for the generations rising. So a young girl who's 16 years old, who's going through whatever she might be going through, has the guidance of a clan mother to be able to tell her, how not to make the mistake of, like, for instance, saying how not to become pregnant at 17. Whereas today the wisdom, guidance of elders is not there, but in the Longhouse, it was supposed to be there through the clan mothers. And so when this isn't there in society, then society doesn't know it's missing. But it's just, imagine, like in your car, if you had a part of the transmission missing, big deal, like maybe your first gear, second gear, third gear are all in perfect running order. Maybe there's for the fourth gear, maybe there's a throw-out bearing or something that's missing where it's just not going to work. So if it's not there, you might not know about it, but you know that you're just not going to be running at full potential. So this is, of course, it's hypothetical. It's kind of a waste of time saying this, but what your daughter needs is that type of guidance. That type of guidance isn't in the world. We know that young children, I didn't listen to my father when I was a kid. We know that's how it is. So it's not going to be that easy to get your daughter to listen to you. it might be easier to get your daughter to listen to somebody else, like an external.
Right.
So, for this is the reason why I want to bring it up tonight. Entirely up to you. If you think that in any way it might help, might assist, you could tell your daughter or invite your daughter to the Wednesday night Zoom, where if she feels comfortable and if you agree, then maybe at the very least, maybe she could just tell her story. Not to mean that somebody like me or Wired or somebody else is going to come along and say, oh, okay, this is what's wrong and this is what you got to do. Not necessarily for that. It might be better maybe for her just to have that release and to know that she's releasing that, speaking in front of you, whereas she's not talking directly to you, because of that maybe father and daughter block.
Right.
So we'll offer this. You got time to think about it by the time it comes up to Wednesday. You got time to talk to your daughter about it if you so wish. We'll be more than happy. There is enough people with different backgrounds in psychology and just general knowledge, that we could maybe just provide facilitate her being able to get something off her chest at the very least. So that's what we offer.
I'll ask her. I'll talk to her. Again, she doesn't talk to me very much. I'll talk to her mother. I think her mother might be willing to do something other than taking her to the doctor. That's something that she really doesn't want to do. But I think it would help. I'll see if she's game. I'm definitely game. I think it would definitely help her. At least she can see what I'm trying to do on my end. Not necessarily that I have to prove anything, but that I'm trying to help her. Even though she doesn't, probably doesn't think that I am. So I'll reach out to her and see if she'll participate.
Yeah, and you can tell her that she doesn't have to speak about anything if she does decide to come on. She doesn't have to speak about anything she doesn't want to. So she can go as far as she wants to. You could tell her that, like when we talked about it here, like we really did not divulge any information about what her circumstances are. Really, there's nothing that anybody can say, oh, well, now we know this. There isn't any of that.
Right.
So she could take it as far as she wants and as far as revealing information or not. Yeah, so
Okay.
So
Elsa,
Appreciate it.
go ahead, Elsa.
Hello everyone, I'm Elsa and some Venerable. This is for John to help her to maybe to talk to you, or even if you don't have a third party, sometimes to help people to talk about things. You can make them draw it so they feel it's a bit indirect. So just use art, drawings or paintings or dancing or whatever she likes. She can get to expressing things through arts to you or to anyone, and just use that so she can talk about how she feels.
She does like to draw. I'll see if any of her artwork is from what her mother said is she hasn't been drawing as of late. So there's something disconnected. There's something more, something else. So I just hope it's not, serious enough where she thinks she can't handle it or she can't take it. But that's good advice. Music, she also likes music, so I'm gonna let her mom, let her mom know all these things.
Just, just to express what she's living right now. And so she can also, in a second, second time, she can be more connected to the great lobbies. Our ceremonies, just maybe for a starter, would be the moon teaching, the moon ceremony, full moon, so she could gradually go into. So that's what I wanted to share.
That makes sense.
And there's also friends that want to see.
Thank you, Elsa.
Go ahead, friends.
Hi, John. I'm glad to see that you get guidance here today. I know what your daughter's going through. I mean, I've been going through this all my life. Sometimes it's not voices, it's vision, and sometimes it's connection with things that you don't quite understand. As you grow older, if you have people that love you enough, then you can find within yourselves, how to deal with these things. Like I offer you on Messenger, I could talk to your daughter, I could talk to her mom. And also, if she has any kind of stone like I have here, I don't know if you see this, I will show you. It's a black stone like this, and it's called obsidian. And this is something that will protect her against evil force. Because when you don't accept your powers, then evil force are kind of wrestling with you to make you, to shake you enough that you will see that, you do have a connection somehow and you don't know what to do with it. So I just wanted to offer you that again now.
Thank you. Appreciate it, friend.
Okay, so we're done the Mohawk class. The only thing left is to close. Just so that you know, John, that based on the mail back and forth, the messages, this is the only reason why we're bringing this up, because we see that you're in a potentially dangerous situation, or precarious anyways. And so we didn't want to leave you without helping or addressing in some way. And so now we know that, well, if from here, everybody knows that if anything, if it goes any further, it will be Wednesday on the Zoom. That if he wishes, if his daughter wishes, that's where this would be addressed. So anybody who's watching, all of us right now are confronted with the ultimate craziness that has ever been experienced on the planet. Humans have never experienced the things that we are experiencing today. And so pressures are on the people, pressures are on the life givers, pressures are on the young people. It is absolutely crazy, insane to think what we are passing on to our next generation. It is the next generation is ill-equipped. They are no way equipped to deal with the stuff that we're passing on to them. There's no way they can come up with the solutions to the problems that we're handing off to them. For instance, just for instance here, nuclear waste. How could our children's minds ever come up with any kind of solution for these things? It is just an unbearable pressure that we are putting on the children. And when we think of this, you can only put so much pressure on something before it's going to snap. And so all of us, we have to think about what is happening in the world and how it's affecting our young people. And when it does affect the young people, how that's going to come back to bite us in the ass. If one young person is affected in a negative way because of the problems that we passed on to them, then that's going to come back and that's going to bite us. It's going to really hurt us. So all of us, we got to really together try to keep our sanity, and that means we got to try to keep our families together. We have to, like Stephen, like what was just this past week, like that's really addressing our sanity of how we're going to put food on the table, how we're going to provide for our loved ones, and today people like say like in the age groups that we're at, like Stephen and your young family, that very much different than a 20-year-old who's just coming up. They got very different problems. They don't even have the like the organized family structure that older families already have. Not much older, but Stephen, like your family already has like a structure there. Now the young ones that are coming up today, it's almost like impossible for them to see how they're going to attain that family structure. Because you look at what's going on in the world, family structure almost isn't there. Everybody's broken up. Families are divorced. Children growing up looking at this, well, they're not even gonna even come close to having a organized family structure. Anyways, so on Wednesday, this is whether or not John, whether or not you're there, whether or not your daughter agrees to come on. I think this is a subject that we will discuss anyways. If you don't agree, if your daughter doesn't agree, we will not be talking about you or her, but we will talk about this issue that is confronting all of our young people. So this is something that is a very great tragedy. It's tragic that the circumstances that we're handing off to our next generation. Imagine it, think of it like a relay race. All the way through the relay race, somebody was handing us off something to the next one that was okay. And then we hand it off to the next generation as a bomb. And we know that it's just going to blow up on them at some point, sometime. So there we go. Okay, Wednesday, we know we have something very important, very crucial to discuss. So Nyawagoa, John, Nyawagoa, thank you for even just being brave enough to the degree that you discussed this issue. We know that,
Thank you.
especially today in this world, we know that men, it's almost like as if for us to be a man, well, there's certain things that we can't do. Like a man wouldn't come forward and talk publicly about what's happening with his family. A man's got to be tough type of thing, So we're very, very fortunate that you're even just to that level, where you're open-minded enough to that level, like to get this on the floor, on the table to be discussed. I would bet you anything that there's other people who are just waiting to have this can of worms open.
I consider you guys my family, so it feels good to open up to somebody who can actually help with the problem, not just, don't have any kind of answers, and actually help with the problem.
Okay, well, we're going to see then on Wednesday how it goes. Like we said, whether or not, we will talk about this issue. So right now, the only thing is to close. So.
Well, then just a couple of comments on Facebook that are for John, and there's Kate McCann that says, put her in the car and take her for a ride, Dad, down your memory lane to do with your customs. And she also says, don't leave her side, please, Dad. Whatever you must do, or else they play battle with their heads. So be strong. And she goes on and she says, me personally, my dad hit me so hard before I played with my head. But being occupied and busy and do a lot of work, housework, keep her mind busy.
Okay, so you see, you talking about this gets Kate to come forward with something that is an issue, somewhere in this mix, this is an issue. And it's just revealing, like I said, it's a can of worms waiting to be opened, that the generations have never dealt with the corruptions in the family. And if the corruptions in the family does not come from the individual families, it comes from the society. Because if the society is corrupt, then there's corruption at home. And we know that this corruption that's plaguing us, like what she said, that her father used to hit her, that we know that this kind of male dominance, this kind of anger, that these things, that it comes directly out of religions. And so these things will never be pinpointed as to what the source of the problem is. Here, we're not afraid. We'll pinpoint the source. We'll tell you, we'll identify it, that it is the male dominance of false man-made religions that's behind all of the corruptions in society. So this leads into Kate's issue. Now, for Kate, it might not even be an issue. She may be completely over it, may be completely healed. But the fact of what she's saying, there's some other woman, some other young girl out there who's in the same circumstances, who just by hearing Kate's words would maybe open up for them, where to the point of where they might be able to talk about these things that people never talked about. There's a reason why every generation says, "Oh, things were better when I was younger." If every generation says that, it means that things are just constantly getting worse and worse. There's a reason. There is a reason why things are constantly getting worse and worse. It's just not happening from creation that things are getting worse and worse. If things were natural, things would be getting better and better. That's what happens with evolution. In evolution, it's not that bad things grow. It's that the bad things get weeded out. So, anyways, there's a lot for us to discuss on this. It's really a deep-rooted issue that's connected to all of us. So we all got some kind of one piece of the puzzle there. So on Wednesday, everybody, let's we'll say this will be the first thing we'll focus on. Okay, so we'll close.
Merci, gracias.
Hey, baby.
Hey,
All righty. We'll see you all later.
Anna,
On
Anna.
up. See you later, baby.
Charlie. It's Charlie.
Love you all.
Charlie Tuna. Hey, Charlie. Hey, Charlie.
Hey, Charlie. Hi, Charlie. Hi. Hi, Frankie.
Say hi, buddy. Say hi.
Hi, Charlie. That a dog.
Tansi.ka.
Say hi, buddy.
Wow, cute.